We've been talking about the practice of Satipatthana. And with the practice of Satipatthana, one attains the first stage of Sotapatimagga, the first supplementary path by which one destroys the heap of unwholesome roots or kilesas, namely greed, hatred and delusion, which have been with us all along our lifetimes. And the main thing among them is are Vicikiccha and skeptical Sakadati and Vicikiccha. That is personality view and skeptical doubt. These two main things are said to be uprooted. So in this way, these three main roots, the heap of unwholesome roots, which lead to the states of loss, apaya-gamaniya, are said to be uprooted, which have been with us all along our lifetimes. Because we have not practiced Satipatthana, or even if we have practiced Satipatthana, we have not cultivated insight knowledge, or even if we have cultivated insight knowledge, we have not come to the satisfactory stage of fulfillment of the insight knowledge. Therefore, we are not able to eradicate these kilesas. Now, these kilesas are said to be uprooted, they are cut off once you realize the first supplementary path, namely Sotapatimagga, the path of stream entry or stream entera. And such is the function of the first supplementary path, Sotapatimagga. And is that all? It's not so. Besides these two, there are other things which are uprooted, as has been given in the commentaries of the path of purification, which we explain one by one. And among them, it is said that hundreds of things were also uprooted, and hundreds of things were gained as benefits. One comes to possess hundreds of benefits besides these two things, namely Sakadati and Vicikiccha. So it is said like this, and among them text is giving one thing, namely unshakable, coming to possession of unshakable faith in the three gems, the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. And this kind of faith, or believing in the things which are worthy of faith, known as Adhyayabhutta, becomes unshakable. In such a way that however much somebody else will come and try to disrupt your faith and confidence, your faith and confidence will not be disrupted, it will become unshakable. And such is the kind of, even if you are persuaded with wealth, material wealth, or don't believe in it, don't believe in the three gems, I'll give you so many millions of dollars, even then you will not be persuaded, or you will not be threatened. Say, somebody will say, I'll kill you, if you believe. Even then, you will not be threatened. You will not disrupt your faith, even with threats. You would even risk your life in continuing to possess this kind of faith and confidence. And even if somebody else who is eloquent in his speech would come and talk you out of this, you will not be talked out of this. Such are the assurances given by this first supplementary path, because your faith and belief becomes very unshakable, very steadfast. The reason is that you have cultivated insight knowledge from the basics, the beginning with the realities of mind and body and their conditionality. And then progressing along the path to the universal interlocking characteristics of mind and body, which are conditioned. So you come to acceptance with faith. Your faith is said to have progressed. As much as you cultivate knowledge, your faith progresses. Until when you come to the insight knowledge stage of insight knowledge, now the Sankarupekkha Jnana, knowledge of equanimity towards all formations, then your faith becomes very bright, clear, unshakable, and it arises by leaps and bounds until both your object, the noted object, and the noting mind are set to cast away, they disappear, like being cast away from you, so that you are transformed from bhavata to non-bhavata, from the flow of mind-body process to the discontinuation of or non-process of mind and body. You come to this stage. Then you would say to yourself, make a comment that it is correct. It is correct that once you have come to the cessation of mind and body, and your faith and confidence become very unshakable, you come to acceptance and confirmation and definite decision. From thence, your faith and confidence become very steadfast and unshakable. Then you have this hundreds of benefits which will arise with the realization of the first path consciousness. All these things, this kind of unshakable faith and other benefits as given in the hundreds of benefits as given in the commentaries, have a root cause in the realization of the first supramundane path. And when you come to this stage, you come to a definite decision. Your knowledge becomes very definite. So that's why from then we are going to talk on this Mahapaccavekkhana Sutta as given by the late Venerable Mahasiddhara, called a great Mahapaccavekkhana Sutta, rendered as great reviewing. And from today we shall go on to talk. Last year, at the end of the 2-month retreat, we shall declare 2-month retreat, when we talk about 6 memorable qualities, Saraniya Dhammas, that create love and respect, can conduce to helpfulness, do not dispute. That means towards the love and respect among people, among friends, so that when 2 people are living together, they will be living with one mind, though they are in 2 bodies, so that there will be no dispute, and they will be able to maintain bodily acts of loving kindness, verbal acts of loving kindness, mental acts of loving kindness, both in public and private, and share his or her belongings to his companions in the holy life. And after that, as there are also declared that this year he will talk about great reviewing, Mahapaccavekkhana. But this great reviewing this discourse is different from ordinary reflection or reviewing on the aftermath of the realization of the first supramundane path. It is separate, distinct kind of reviewing. Hence, it is labeled as Mahapaccavekkhana, that is kind of reflection or reviewing on a high level stage. We shall talk about this from today. Some 2,500 years ago, or 2.5 millennium ago, the Buddha has given this talk on the great reviewing, which we label as great reviewing, and Sayadaw just recited in Pali for your devotion and for your faith, which will be followed by a discussion on this from a practical aspect, And he's going to translate this into Burmese, which I shall translate in English. That's my duty. As for Putthajanas, that is ordinary beings who have not undertaken the practice of Vipassana, thus have not purified his or her mind, and has not gained any kind of insight, leaving the six sense doors open to all objects which come in, not being able to be mindful of these objects with the practice of the Vipassana. They are overwhelmed by sensual pleasures, they are overwhelmed by obsessive defilements, that means impurities which can arise in their mind, and they are not able to purify the mind in this way, because they are not seeing the arising and passing away of the realities of mind and body. Because they have not undertaken this practice of meditation, Vipassana, nor have cultivated mindfulness, they are not able to prevent what is known as nivaranas, hindrances to progress. They have not had experience in preventing these hindrances to progress. These hindrances to progress, called nivaranas, they are also undermining elements like kilesas. They fall on you like a waterfall, with rapid speed. And whoever is subject to such undermining elements will be prone to what is known as kamichanda, sense desires, as longing for good visible objects, sweet sound, sweet taste, and so on. And also when one encounters undesirable objects, or objects which might arouse their anger or ill will, they will be angry, they will be upset. Such is known as vyavada, nivaranas, hindrances of ill will or anger. And since one is not able to practice this high level discipline, the way of mindfulness, the mind is not energetic. It is what is known as lackluster, or like a daisical, sluggishness. And also, such is known as Chinameda Nivarana. And then, because one is not able to activate mindfulness on the object of arising, instead the mind becomes restless, distracted. So one is overcome by this kind of hindrance known as restlessness and remorse. One becomes remorseful, one becomes remorse about good things undone or bad things done. And then there will be skeptical doubt about one's own practice, one's own Dhamma, skeptical doubt about the Dhamma, skeptical doubt about whether this kind of practice will lead to this kind of insight knowledge. So one cannot come to a decision. Such is the vicikiccha, skeptical doubt, another kind of hindrance. So all these things are called hindrances. They are called hindrances because they prevent the cultivation of jhana, absorption, megapala, path and its fruit. And they are not, these cannot arise when these nivaranas are arising in you. So when they are occurring, they are undermining you, they will make you impure, and they are known as chedisa or kilesas. And they are undermining elements. They can weaken your insight knowledge if you have cultivated any insight knowledge. Or they may even prevent you from cultivating any knowledge at all. Or if you have cultivated some insight knowledge, you will become very dim and they will be very much undermined and weakened. Hence, they are known as nivaranas, hindrances. They are undesirable, they are tormenting, they are mental contaminants, And as for ordinary beings, Purujanas, they are sunk in such, they are overwhelmed by these hindrances to progress. So once they come to the retreat and take up the practice of Satipatthana, the first thing they encounter, are mostly these hindrances to progress, known as nivaranas. As for the Sotapanna, one who has realized the first Subrahmanyampa, he or she is called Ariya, a noble one. He or she goes to the forest, or goes under a tree, or approach a secluded place, either a monastery, or a kuti, or a building, where there is no palivora, no impediments. He or she would stay there in seclusion and be mindful of mind and body. He or she would reflect or reduce in this way. So this is whether there is any obsessive defilement in him or her, that he or she will not see things in a clear manner. So this is just investigation or consideration to know one's own condition, or to know the truth of oneself. Whether one still has these so-called pariyotthana kilesas, obsessive defilements, that is, defilements which can arise in one's mind. And such kind of defilements are still being obsessed in one, and they are not yet being transgressed or translated into transgressive type of defilements. That means they have not come to a violent stage of transgression by body and speech, but they are still being obsessed in the mind, such as wishing to enjoy sensual pleasures, like kamachanda, nivarana, or when it comes to undesirable object, or when you encounter anything which would arouse any anger or ill will, you have overcome by this obsessive defilement of ill will. So this can happen in the beginning, those who undertake the practice, whether one is practicing the in and out breath, Anapana, or as given by the late Venerable Master Sayadaw, pay attention to abdomen and note the rising, falling, sitting, touching, and so on. At that time, that can arise in the yogi desire about desirable objects, elation about desirable object, or dejection, or disappointment, or ill will about undesirable object. And such kind of obsession, such kind of thoughts are known as pariyotthana kilesa, obsessive defilements, which arise in one's mind. And it is a stream of consciousness which flow like a current. That is the process of mind and body. In this, one can be overwhelmed by these undermining, unwholesome states known as agusalas, and these will be discussed as the Sotapanna, the stream enterer, considers or reviews his or her situation. If one is still able to, still has this pariyotthana kilesas, then such things like likes and dislikes are bound to appear. However, as for the Sotapanna, although they may arise unavoidably as occasion arises, then Sotapanna can note and abandon or overcome these obsessive defilements. These are the kind of defilements which can cloud your mind so as not to know the nature of mind. This regarding this pariyotthana kilesas, obsessive defilement, the Buddha has given this. He addressed the bhikkhus, that is, bhikkhu could be monks or lay people, laity, that one knows in the course of the in the course of one's life, when one is reviewing and considering in this way, one knows that when one has these sensual desires coming into one's mind, one knows that one is overwhelmed or attacked by these priyatana kilesas of sensual defilements. So while one is noting or practicing mindfulness, noting, rising, falling, sitting, touching and so on, these obsessive defilements arise in the interval periods. These obsessive defilements like sensual desires or desire for sensual pleasures. They will arise and undermine you. When they arise, they are said to occupy your mind, so that you cannot know the true nature of the objects, like the arising and passing away of the objects. So, because you are overwhelmed, or because your mind is occupied by these sensual pleasures, thoughts of sensual pleasures. But one's mind, the practice of mindfulness, according to the saying, guarding the mind, or the mind should be guarded with vigilant mindfulness of heavy arising, so that one will be able to prevent this current or waterfall or the defilements which fall down like the speed of a waterfall. If one is not able to prevent or guard one's mind in this way with the practice of mindfulness, then there will be likes and dislikes about desirable, undesirable objects, elation, dejection, about pleasant, unpleasant objects. And that's why they are called nivarnas, hindrances to progress. They will hinder the progress, they will impure the mind, they will undermine the knowledge, they will weaken the knowledge, stain the mind, and also cause the mind to become restless, so that one will not be able to see the true nature of mind and body. And this is quite natural, because if one is, if there is something to be attached to, then one must be able to guard one's mind in the spirit of satipatthana. And if at all these desires or ill will arise in one's mind, one must be able to know them off, so as to overcome them. As for ordinary people, or those people who are not practicing satipatthana, they do not know how to cultivate mindfulness. So as for them, these hindrances to progress, beginning with sense desires, will flow like the waterfall, without any hindrance, without any means of prevention. They will go on falling upon such people, so that their mind will become impure, and they will not be able to see the true nature of mind and body objects. And this continues in this way. Monks, if any yogi is overwhelmed by ill will, Theravada in Pali, then one is said to be overwhelmed by this obsessive defilement or parijjhana kilesa. One is said to be tormented or invaded by these obsessive defilements. While one is noting the obvious objects, such as rising and falling of the abdomen, one encounters some undesirable object or thing or experience, then one becomes upset, and one becomes angry, overwhelmed by ill will. Such is the situation where the yogi is tormented or persecuted or undermined by this parijjhana kilesa, in this case ill will, the obsessive defilements. So one has got to note and overcome it. First, prevent it from arising, and if at all it arises, it has to be noted off. Yes, with the two means of doing it. One is prevention. That is, know the objects, have a arising object, in order to prevent these obsessive defilements from arising. And if at all they arise, they must be treated. This is treatment, like in a disease. Note them off. If one is not able to take measures, that is prevention and treatment, with the practice of Satipatthana, then one will not be able to understand the true nature of the objects, beginning with the discernment of mind and body, and the cultivation of universal characteristics. So too with another, Payotana obsessive defilement, known as Tina Meda, sloth and torpor, which can weaken your mind so that you become sluggish in the practice of high-level discipline, where you are supposed to be energetic, apply ardent energy, and not to be slack in the practice of Satipatthana. So in this case, you are said to be undermined or weakened or overwhelmed by this kind of Payotana obsessive defilement. And another obsessive defilement, Payotana is restlessness and remorse. They also undermine your practice. And when these things arise, that is sloth and torpor and restlessness and worry, then you must take measures, that is preventive measures and treatment measures, note them and overcome them. If you are not able to do that, then these Payotana obsessive defilements are bound to hinder your practice of the high-level discipline of the way of mindfulness, so that your knowledge will be undermined, stained, and another one is, this is how the Buddha said, monks, if you become doubtful, that is vicikiccha, about things, then you are said to be overwhelmed by this obsessive defilement of Payotana vicikiccha, skeptical doubt. Then you know that you are being overwhelmed by this, you are attacked by this hindrance to progress. And the doubts about, what are the doubts? Doubts about the practice of Vipassana, whether this will be able to lead to the cultivation of insight knowledge. So in this way one may become doubtful about one's practice, especially to those who are prone to fantasies, imaginations, and they are prone to, they will reason out, and such kind of reason can arise in the guise of, or this reason can in the guise of an intellectual wisdom, which is very dangerous. This vicikiccha is very dangerous, and when it arises, it must be noted and abandoned. Otherwise, one will not be able to see or understand the true nature of the objects. So such things, as for vicikiccha, skeptical doubt, this arises only in the ordinary beings, Purujanas. As for the Sotapanna, he or she has abandoned or overcome this skeptical doubt as one of the two main defilements, abandoned or overcome or eradicated by the path, the first super-mundane path. So he or she need not abandon this vicikiccha, because it will not arise in him or her. However, just to be complete in these 5 kinds of nirvana, hindrances of progress, it has been included as one of the hindrances. As for those who have not realized the first supramundane path, then they are bound to be doubtful as to the practice. This is known as vicikiccha. And the Buddha even said that if a person becomes doubtful, I cannot help such persons. So, if the Buddha cannot help, then Dhamma also will not help you. You will not be able to realize the benefit of the Dhamma. That's why it is this kind of hindrance is a dangerous hindrance. This reasoning or reflection is necessary in some cases, like when one is undertaking, doing some task, then one has got to reason out whether such a task is beneficial or not, or such a task is correct or not. Whether it is correct or not, good or bad, or whether it is beneficial or not, or whether it is suitable or not. So such kind of reflection is necessary. However, when it comes to the things which are beyond your intellect, then you may, while reasoning out, this vicikiccha, skeptical doubt, can arise in the guise of wisdom or intellect. You think yourself that you are an intellectual. I must reason out. So in this way, the reason they arise in the guise of wisdom. So you are deceived. You are said to be cheated or deceived. And especially for the practitioners in the realm of Satipatthana, this is a great hindrance. So as not to deceive or cheat yourself, one should be able to practice with faith and confidence. That's all for today.